Joining me now in studio is Jansen Wehrley, Parks and Rec Director for the City of Medina, and also the Police Chief for the City of Medina, Ed Kinney. Thanks for joining me, both of you.
My pleasure.
And we are here today to discuss the issue, or the levy on the ballot. You'll see number 17 and when you head to the voting booth this November, and it is a proposed ordinance number 16222 of the City of Medina, and that is for the culling of the deer. Easiest way to explain it is a yes vote allows the ordinance to proceed and allow for the culling of the deer. A no vote would stop the ordinance and would send it back to council to look at alternative ways to solve the issue. So right now, first let's start with you, Jansen, and maybe kind of walk us through how we got to this point to where we see this on the ballot.
Yeah, so about 10 years ago, 2014-ish, we started to hear a lot of concerns from the residents at ward meetings, which gave the ward meetings give residents an opportunity to come in and voice their concerns in an informal setting outside of a council meeting. So as we continued to hear the complaints from the residents, it was decided that it was probably in our best interest to start recording trend data, so that we could quantify and measure and verify the concerns that the residents were having. So we established what we called a deer management process. We took it to council in 2015, 2016, and we've been collecting various data points since then, including deer vehicle accidents that are tracked through the police department, the number of deer carcasses that we pick up on the roadways in our parks or throughout town. We established a community-wide survey that was posted on our various social media channels and website. We started tracking and recording deer damage complaints, where residents would call the Parks Department, talk to one of our staff members, listen to their concerns, and then based on the level of concern, we would potentially arrange a time to go out and talk to the residents, verify their concerns, and help work with them on how to try and mitigate those on their own property. The last component that was part of our trend data was to perform visual deer surveys, where we take the city and divide it into 4 sections, essentially the 4 wards of the city. We have 4 trucks. These are Parks Department employees driving the trucks. And we go out between the hours of 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. 4 times a year and spotlight and count deer at predetermined locations, mostly parks, open areas, school properties, the industrial areas where we can scan and spotlights without disturbing the public. And we record that information onto a spreadsheet, and then tally up the count at the end of each day. And we typically try to time it around before the rut, which is the mating season, and towards the end of that as well. So we do it twice in October and twice in November. And then we average those numbers to come up with a count. So just to kind of, put that into perspective, the deer vehicle accidents, when we started collecting data in 2016, police department had recorded 14. Up to 2022, which is our most current data, we had 23. Our deer carcass pickups in 2016, we had 17. Last year alone, we had 86. Our community survey, again, this one goes up just because there's more people taking the survey. But initially, when we had started, there were only 39 responses, and up to 2022, we've already had 1,200 responses. So we've been getting a good amount of input from the residents. Our deer damage complaints, they've remained relatively stable. In 2016, we had 6, and in 2022, again, we had 10. Our visual deer survey numbers were, in 2016, they were 92, and in 2022, it was 185.5. So we look at that data, and it's pretty easy for us to tell that in the span from 2016 to 2022, we've seen a substantial increase in the number of deer that we're seeing and the number of carcasses that we're picking up. And we're able to, I guess, analyze that and say that, there's for sure an increase that we've documented over the years that essentially supports what we're looking to do to try and create a program that we can begin to try and basically get our numbers in check, if you will. The second part of our deer management process is the public relations piece. So we have access to resources on the City of Medina website under the Parks Department, where we provide technical guidance on how to deter deer from your own property. There's a couple-page document that we have that gives you all sorts of non-lethal alternatives, from deer fencing to tree protection to deer-resistant species that you could plant around your property. In addition to that, we also sent out information and utility bills several times discouraging the feeding of deer because of the effects that has on their travel and their diet. And then also on our website, we implemented a 5-step process for property owners to kind of go through to decide what steps they could do to manage deer on their property. Those 5 steps are to recognize that you have a deer problem, obviously. That's probably where you want to start. Is it landscape damage? Are you seeing trees that are damaged? Is your garden getting damaged? If so, the next step would be to visit our website, look at our technical data, our technical guidance, I should say, that we have. The third option, if you can't resolve anything by trying to address it on your own, you can schedule a meeting, contact the Parks Department, file a deer damage complaint. If after the site visit you're still seeing concerns on your property, you can contact the Division of Wildlife for more advanced technical guidance over the phone. And lastly, you can always schedule a site visit with ODNR because they will do those.
Okay. And so that kind of gets us to where we are now, where we see it'll be number 17 on the ballot when you go to vote, the proposed ordinance. Again, just to reiterate for the viewers at home, a yes vote would allow that ordinance to proceed and allow for the culling of the deer, and a no vote would just allow the ordinance not to go into place and send it back to council to look for a resolution back to them to make a determination of what to do next. So I guess pretty self-explanatory as far as the no vote. It goes back to council to figure out what they would like to do in their next steps. So let's delve in a little more to the yes vote. And a yes vote would allow for the mayor to appoint a designee, and in this case that'd be you, Chief Kinney, and kind of look at some of the aspects of what would go into the program with a yes vote.
Yeah, a yes vote for this ordinance essentially allows hunting within the city of Medina. So it allows the mayor to assign a designee, which is me, and we would come up with a hunting program, which we have come up with a hunting program, giving rules and regulations and defining exactly what is permissible within the city of Medina relative to the hunting program. And Jansen has come up with an effective program to address the overpopulation of the deer, and I'll let him touch on some of the provisions of that program, and then I can come back and describe some of the safety measures that we have implemented to make sure it's a safe hunt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Chief. So as he had mentioned, we have established rules that kind of go in addition to our ordinance per se. And what those are they align with the current hunting regulations that the state has, but we as a city, through a permitting process, are able to require additional rules and safety measures to be in place in order to ensure that urban hunting is done safely and effectively, can be used as a tool to help us manage the deer in the city. So some of the rules that we have established is a hunter must be at least 21 years old to participate in the program. A hunter must provide proof of 5 years of experience or provide proof of 5 deer harvests. This information can be gathered off of the state's website. When you go to get a hunting license, you can pull up all that data that can then be submitted with your permit application to our police department for review. The hunter must notify the police department before going out each day and at the end of each day. I'm going to turn that over to Chief just to share why we are requiring that.
Sure. The purpose of notifying our dispatch center when the hunter goes out to hunt and then when the hunter is done hunting, it's so that we know at that particular region that there's a hunter that's hunting there, and that if in the instance that a deer may venture off of the property after it's shot with a longbow or a compound bow or a crossbow, that we're able to tie that deer back to that hunter, and we're able to make that connection and assist in getting that deer back to the appropriate hunter.
Thanks, Chief. So hunters must also only use legal archery equipment as described in the Ohio Administrative Code 1501 31-15-11. A hunter must not hunt deer with the aid of an electronic calling device or light. Bow hunting can only take place 30 minutes before sunrise to 30 minutes after sunset. This aligns with the state requirements. The hunter must carry a valid hunting license if required, and a property owner's permission letter, and all permits at all times must be able to provide those documents to any police officer or game official as prescribed by the Ohio Division of Wildlife. If the only property included in the application is owned by the applicant, their spouse, or parents, then proof of successfully passing a hunter education course or other pre-approved equivalent type of safety training is required. In addition to checking the deer with the state, we're also going to require that the hunter notify the city within 24 hours of the hunt. This is so that we can additionally track the deer that are harvested and keep good records so that we can analyze the data moving forward. A hunter must remove entrails from the property unless it's otherwise agreed to by the owner. Animals may not be field dressed in the view of the public. If a deer leaves a property that a permit was issued for, the hunter shall notify the police department immediately. The hunter may only retrieve the said deer after obtaining property owner's approval. And again, just to reiterate what the chief said about the importance of calling the police department when you go out and at the end of each day, this rule aligns with what he had mentioned about trying to connect the deer to the hunter immediately. The hunter may not trespass on any adjoining property without permission, and all equipment must be removed from the area covered under the city permit no later than 2 weeks after the expiration date of the permit, including but not limited to tree stands and ladders. I think at this time I'll turn it over to the chief just to touch on tree stands and kind of what we were looking from on a safety perspective that aligns with that rule.
So I want to reiterate that this program is essentially a mirror of the state hunting regulations with additional regulations that we've added to it to ensure safety of the program. Again, points that are important to reiterate is that no hunter will be on property without permission or property that they own. All hunting will take place from an elevated tree stand with a proper backstop. This will be ensured by police actually going out and examining the site. A potential hunter that wants to hunt based on this program will come to the police department, fill out an application. Myself or my designee within the police department will go and inspect the area that the hunter actually wants to hunt from and authorize whether that's a safe area or not. It's important for everybody to understand that these locations will be authorized through a lens of public safety. we would never allow somebody to hunt in an area that's highly populated or very dense. It's going to be in the more rural areas, think the industrial areas or wooded areas or properties adjacent to the parks that are less traveled. So the entire program is developed and will be implemented through a lens of safety to the public and to our companion animals that are in the area as well.
Thanks, Chief. And as the voters at home will see this as issue number 17, the proposed ordinance on the ballot. And again, just to reiterate, a yes vote would allow the ordinance to proceed, which would allow the culling of the deer. A no vote would not allow the ordinance to proceed and send that back to City Council to reflect upon and find other avenues of a resolution. But Chief, I wanted to come back to you and ask, why the decision of bows versus any other type of hunting, whether that's guns or whatever else?
Sure. We prohibited firearms in this specific hunt within the city limits because obviously that's not a safe way to conduct a hunting program, an urban hunting program. Obviously firearms, once you discharge that firearm, that bullet can travel for well over a mile, whereas a bow or a crossbow from an elevated position, and that's why we're requiring hunting within the city from an elevated position in a tree stand, and they would have to shoot down towards the earth. So that arrow won't travel. It will hit into the earth if they miss the deer, and that's a far safer alternative to firearms hunting in a dense area. But again, the permitted hunting will be in the more rural areas of the city, the more industrial area, the wooded areas, to where that won't be such a concern of the density of people, but it's still a concern that we want to make sure that that arrow is not traveling any further than the hunter wants it to or it needs to.
Mm-hmm. And then Jansen, maybe touch on, this wasn't something that was produced solely just by the city of Medina. You had other agencies that assisted in getting to the point where we are today.
Yeah, absolutely. Several years ago, we started working with Ohio Department of Natural Resources, Division of Wildlife, our regional contact, Mr. Jeffrey Westerfield, has come to special legislation meetings. He's met with administration numerous times to talk about our concerns, our problem, and ways that we can look to improve the situation. In addition to that, we also engaged the United States Department of Agriculture, APHIS, which is the Animal Plant and Health Inspection Service. In 2020, they came in, they were going to do a helicopter flyover, but the weather did not permit that to occur. So we did the next best thing, which was a thermal imager survey of the city, and they drove approximately 85% of the roads in town with thermal imagers and arrived at 504 deer that they counted. Basically what they did then was took the estimate, the 85% of the city that they had counted and extrapolated that out to arrive at 504 to 593 deer was the estimate that the count yielded during that survey. And then we took those numbers and compared that to the square mileage of the city and realized that we have a lot more deer than we were counting on our visual survey. And looking at our trend data, we needed to start thinking about something. So that's kind of what kicked off our talks with the state with what are the next steps, what can we do? And we looked at a variety of different options and alternatives that other communities are doing in conjunction with their deer management program. And anything that we would be doing has to be in line with what the state will allow. Anything that would be in addition to that would be required to have their approval as well. So obviously working with the state was our top priority. And the plan that we have isn't anything that's new to Northeast Ohio or Ohio. Bow hunting, urban archery hunting has been happening for many, many years. in the state of Ohio. The state had informed us that they have over 449 years of program data. So when you take all the cities that have urban hunting and data was created, it equaled 449 program years. There are 38 communities in Northeast Ohio that have some form of hunting, whether it be urban archery, whether it be sharpshooting, or any other type of hunting that is taking place, and that's just around us. So we've talked to Strongsville, we've talked to North Royalton, we've talked to a variety of other neighboring communities to develop the program that we have, which we feel will be a good fit for our community with the help of the police department.
And that's definitely a lot of information that we've covered, and we kind of scratched the surface, but people really want to delve into this. What are some other areas that they can do to go find more information on their own?
So yeah, information, including all the data and the report from the USDA, can be found on the Parks Department website, medinaoh.org. Go to the Parks Department page. Towards the bottom, there's a clickable link that says information on deer. You can click that. Everything can be found there, along with technical guidance. And then at the end of the segment here, we'll have a QR code out that you could scan and have a direct link to that.
Great. And I'm sure, Chief, both you and Jansen, people feel free to reach out to you as well if they have questions or concerns.
Yes, either one of us are happy to answer any questions, concerns. Just contact Jansen at the Parks Department or myself at the Police Department. Happy to answer any questions.
Great. Well, thank you both for your time to delve into this issue and try to get our voters informed the best they can as they head out to to vote this November. And again, you'll see that as number 17 on the ballot. And again, it's the proposed ordinance 16222. A yes vote allows the ordinance to proceed and cull the deer. A no vote would not allow the ordinance to proceed and send it back to City Council to look for other resolutions. So I appreciate your guys' time here today, and please feel free to check out the website and the information here at the end of this program to get more information so you can be informed when you head to the ballot box this November.